Good evening, YouTube. This is Kayleen String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner stream. And I had to delay it a few minutes as I just posted because I was expecting a delivery and that person showed up right on time. And I needed this phone that I'm streaming on because it is my active cell service. And she texted me that she was here so I could go down and get the items. And so I brought them up, put them away. Some of them will be shown on a future video because some of those items will be actually considered prep items. The rest is just some homemade food and a couple of partially used packages of a beef bacon that I used, or that she used when we made an item for a December family get together. They call it Christmas. I just call it just chilling with the family. But not all of that beef bacon was used up, so it was just kept for when she could bring it back to me. So I have it, and so I will cook that up tomorrow just to finish it off, and it's thawed back out again. Well, anyway, this is a Warnick pack. This is the Warnick Company, the Tailored Operational Training Meal. I did one of these, I think, back in January, or maybe early February. I did the first one of these that I had. And this one is a marinara sauce and meatballs I put with, but I can just leave it as is. So these totems have no menu numbers, as I said before. This is a lighter ration for training exercises or lighter duty activities where the soldier is in the field or in an area where there is not an established kitchen, either a permanent kitchen or a mobile kitchen, and the ration is required, but not the full calorie MRE. So these are usually less than 1,000 calories per meal. I don't know when this one was packed, but I will find out because Warnick does not date stamp their bags. I wish they would. Sepaco and Ameriqual date stamp their bags. Sometimes they're hard to find, sometimes they're hard to read. But like the older version of the halal MREs, it's in the clear bag. I am curious if these are even made anymore or if these have been replaced by something else. But this would be the third one that I've had. I had one a few years ago, and I thought that one was a pretty good one. And it looks like I'm going to have the same issues I've had with some of the other tan bags where my finger went right through the plastic without opening up the hole. So I'm going to get a knife to do the deed. There we go. Let's see, we got Nation Emery Finds, Prepping Life, My Iowa Brother, the Carlos Perry's in the house, Empos is here, Pumpkin is somewhere sleeping like a lazy cat. Baked snack crackers. Well, I think there's are going to be like dust, crumbs. The flameless ration heater, which I don't use, but I save these because I'm in my apartment. I don't need to use it, but I have it in case I do need it. Let's see, we can get a date code off of this. Well, these might still be in current production because the first digit is a 0. So this has to be a 2020. I don't think totems were around back in 2010. Yep, this is a 0 on here, so 2020. This is my favorite of the US Emery drinks of this type, the lemon lime, so that will go into the drinking jar. The accessory kit is different, and this is closer to what you would find in civilian rations, the halal Emerys, the humanitarian daily rations. Oatmeal cookie. Got the main itself. Probably about 10 meatballs in here from what I can tell. It's just the meatballs in the sauce. So that will go into the pot on the stove. And as usual, I use the ration bag as a trash bag. And then this is that heating sleeve that you would use. You stick your water in the FRH, you put the retort pouch in it, then you stick it in here. But I'll just be holding this up when I am showing whoever may be coming in what tonight's meal is. And I'm not sure if this bag is long enough for this accessory pack. I mean, you can almost double it over completely. This is almost like a commercial catering pack or food service pack. So you get the spoon, you get a napkin, Bill's Brews coffee will go into the 4nmra.com mug. Plus you still get a wet wipe. Salt and pepper, which all U.S. rations should have. A commercial coffee mate. And not the mil-spec packaging like what this is. And 2 packets of the King sugar. So that is what you get in the accessory pack. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up the drink in the drinking jar. Because these are notorious for taking a long time to dissolve. I mix them with cold water because that is my preference. And I'm using my foreignemery.com spork. And a few days ago I checked their site. It is just a placeholder for now. There is nothing left on it. Spicy tuna rolls is here. My crusher is here. That's okay. You're dealing with life. You know, life happens. I'll have 2 more of these streams before Ramadan starts, so the 19th will be my last stream for a month, because we will be having our nightly iftar dinners in the mosque. And I'm usually there from, if not midday, to maybe early afternoon, till late at night. There may be a few days where I will not have as much to do because not all of the cooking will be done in-house, so to speak. There will be a few nights where some of it will be done elsewhere and then just brought in. And then there will be some things that are done ahead of time. In fact, I'm responsible for doing one of those things. I just have to wait till I get the main ingredient brought to the mosque, and then I'll just do it there. I'll be cooking up some ground beef and then seasoning it for a chili mac. That is the Bill's Brew. I just added the creamer. I cut the 2 sugar packets apart. So use one, save the other. So what I will do now is I will take this into the kitchen. And I'll put this in the pot, and then I'll bring the kettle back for the water for the coffee. I just took the kettle back into the kitchen just to get it out of the way. I'm giving the lemon lime drink another mix. I'm going to open up the cookie first, because that is less likely to come out in a huge mess. Came out in one piece. Smells like cinnamon. This is another one of those packages where you can just pick any spot right here and tear it open. Let's see, John's MRE. Just checking to see if anyone else has come in. No, that's it. Thanks all for dropping in. This is a Warnick packed 2020 Totem. And I'm going to open it this way, just like I do if I'm opening a retort pouch. Yeah, just as I suspected. In fact, I got an idea with these. I'm going to actually get a dump this right there. And I'm going to pick out a few of the pieces that are still whole or mostly whole. Should have called this Cheez-It Crumbs. There is Cliff in the house. Thanks for dropping in. A few whole or nearly whole Cheez-Its. But this gives me an idea because I think it will provide a little something that the main could probably use. You know, it's just meatballs in the marinara. No pasta, nothing like that. But I'll go ahead and taste one of these right now just to see how they held up. They've lost a little bit of their flavor. So they do taste like they've been around a little while. But they haven't completely gone to crap. But they sure took a beating. Stanton Shenanigans is in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is my dinner tonight. A 2020 Totem. So good to see you here. Haven't seen you in a minute. My stream started a little bit late because I was waiting on someone to bring me something. And that something did arrive on time. So I only had to delay my start a few minutes. But anyway, the Cheez-Its are more like cheese dust. But they'll do for tonight anyway. Got the Bill's Brew in the mug with one of the two sugars. The other will get added to my stash. Got something that all US Emery should have. Pepper. There is no gum in the accessory kit. You get a napkin and a wet wipe, just like you do with the halal MREs. But anyway, it's time to go get the meatballs, and I'll be right back. I'm back. I used this dome lid, which came from my cookware set that I've had since college, and a paper towel to dry the pouch off, since I just took it out of the boiling water. Tear notch goes across this way, and so I like to shake the food down, just, oops, sorry about that, just to make sure that it is below where I'm going to rip, and I can just pull it off. Nice clean rip. I'm going to take a taste of the sauce by itself. It it tastes like a savory marinara should. Soft meatball. There is a look at the inside of the meatball. And when I posted this on Facebook, or no, I posted it on my community tab, some commented that they really enjoyed this one. I had never had this made in any U.S. ration before. And I would have to agree that it is pretty good. But you know me, I have to play with my food. A little parm from the kitchen, because why not? As if there's not enough cheese from the busted Cheez-It crackers. So I'm going to get a little crunch. I hope you had a good night with the DoorDash. Another channel I watch, she does, well, the wife does some DoorDash. Sometimes her husband will join her, and they're and uh, and Joe of Garden State Gardener is not having his Sunday fun day because there's a big event going on in his town. So he has been doing Uber all day, and he expects to make some pretty good money doing that. Which will definitely help him out financially. I mean, after all, he's got to pay for postage for sending out seeds because he's doing his Wheel of Seeds again this month. So I won it in January, a few days from my birthday. So other people have won it. But yeah, putting the Cheez-Its down and putting the meatballs on top, it definitely works. In the absence of pasta, it, it gives you a little something. Plus, if you don't have the time to eat the meatballs separate from the crackers, you just combine it and you can still get everything ate, but in less time. Yeah, I would definitely get this one again. It would be nice if the crackers were a little bit fresher, but they're still fine. I will finish them all. Now these big oatmeal cookies, they have cinnamon in them. Yeah, a little bit of the marinara dripped on it while I was getting it out of the pouch, but that's okay. That's what the cookie looks like inside. Well, you can, you you'll get a random packet or two of seeds. It could be a hot pepper, it could be tomato, it could be an herb, it could be a fruit, it could be a veggie. You know, just whatever he happens to have in his huge collection of seeds. Now, I can't grow tomatoes here on my little deck because it faces north and it's shaded, so I will either hand those off to someone else who can grow them, or maybe I will be able to plant them in a different location that I have been given permission to do that. And then I have some other seeds that I won from him in December. And I've also gotten seeds from a seed exchange with some other YouTubers, a seed swap, and then I have just been given seeds by some other people. That's okay. Go ahead, take the night off. You know, go charge and chill. I still tell Pumpkin that you're still her girl, even though she's with me. Prepping Life. He lives in eastern Iowa. When he's got the time, he may put up a video, but his life is crazy right now, so he hasn't been able to upload or even watch a lot of YouTube videos. Plus he's a dad, so he's got to do the dad thing. Those of you with kids know what all that's about. But the Jeep things, that was an older channel name, but he keeps it as his logo just so that no one is confused, because he still loves Jeeps. Thanks for coming in, John. Hope to see you another time. Still needs a little bit of a mix, but it's my favorite USMRE drink of this type. I will take you any day over the fruit punches. Yeah, got a multitasking fish. There's Robert in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is my dinner tonight. It's a 2020 totem. Warnick does not date their bags. I wish they would. Like Sapaco and Ameriqual do. The cheeses took a bit of a hit. They taste a little old, but they haven't gone to crap. So they're still fine. But they took some serious damage, so they got poured down here, and then I poured the meatballs on top. And then, of course, I had to throw on some parm from my fridge. I have it, so why not? Plus, this is a way to eat this if you get this menu and you have the same components. You can eat all the food in less time because you're combining the Cheez-It crackers with the main. Plus, it gives a little extra texture to it that you would not get if you're just having the meatballs by itself. But they actually taste a little bit better than the Chef Boyardee meatballs. Granted, they're not what you would get out of a French ration, but I find them pretty darn good. And also for those that are coming in late, my stream started a few minutes late because someone was bringing me something and I needed my phone available to receive the alert that the person was here, because my apartment is not on the same side of the building as the door, so I cannot look out a window and see if that person is here, and we don't have a working call box because that thing has been dead since I've been here. People will still try to hit the numbers on there like they're putting in someone's code and nothing happens. But anyway, what I did was I put most of the busted Cheez-Its down there. I put the meatballs on top, and then I sprinkled some parm on it that I got from my kitchen. I may be a Polska, but I like I like Italian food done with the cheese. I gotta have the cheese on it. Yeah, he probably would. Who got hid? It, if none of the mods hit anybody, then that means that it was something in the system, because I think it was about a year and a half ago, someone came into my stream, said hi, and the comment got deleted by YouTube. I mean, it was a greeting. And then on other live chats, mods have lost their wrenches, and people have been kicked out through no action of the channel owner or any of the mods. If anyone gets hid, I should see it, but because I'm on my phone, I can't do a whole lot on a stream that I could do if I was doing it on a computer, but if I can see that something happened, I can act like I can say if the system holds a comment for review, I can either, just like any of the mods, can either approve it, let it show, or kick it. I can I can kick a person, hide that person from the channel. I can put someone in timeout, just like any of the mods can. Of course, anyone can report a comment. You don't have to be a mod to do that. But when the system acts up and does stuff that is not intended to be done, like deleting comments that are totally appropriate, that would otherwise be considered baby friendly, or take wrenches away from mods, or kicks people out, even if they haven't put a comment into the chat, there's something wrong with that. Oops, sorry, let me fix that. Because he has posted since someone thought he was hidden, that means he wasn't. Now, if it was a timeout, that lasts for approximately 5 minutes. So you have to, and I let a new mod put me in timeout, just so that this person could get a feel for what happens to someone who gets put in timeout. And then when the timeout ended, and I could comment again. I said I could watch the stream. I could see the chat. I just could not add anything to it until the timeout ended. I was not kicked out, and I was not prevented from seeing the chat. I just couldn't chat during the timeout. Since I've been modified by quite a few other channels, I can't let new mods put me in timeout as a practice. Unless I get my wrench taken away. But most of the time I'm not doing a lot of that stuff when I'm in other chats, because I have a bit of a delay. I watch on my tablet because although I have the laptop, it's very hard for me to use because I cannot separate the keyboard from the monitor in order to get the monitor in a position that best works for me. So that's why I'm still using the Kindle. Plus, I would like to get some more memory for the laptop. I did buy a couple of batteries for it, and I have both of them charged. I got one of the newer batteries in. And then I have the second new battery charged up. And I still have the original one. But so far, what I've done with the laptop is I have edited long videos on it using OpenShot, because I do have the space on there to do that, and then I upload from there. No, this tailored operational training meal, it is a lower calorie ration. You don't get a few of the components that you would get from a standard MRE. You get a coffee, instead of one sugar, you get two. One is in there. This is a second sugar. This is the same sugar that is in the halal MREs, but you don't get a hot drink in those. But like the halal MREs, you get pepper in addition to the salt, and you get a napkin in addition to the wet wipe. No gum, so there's no gum in this. You don't get an additional side like you might get in some other MREs, but you still get the standard cold drink. But you get the main, a side, and a dessert, cotton cold drinks, and that's pretty much the meal. And this oatmeal cookie, they've been putting cinnamon in these, and I think it really helps the flavor. So this is probably somewhat like a French ration that has a similar purpose. It's for a training exercise that is not as intense. There's Viper in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I have a 2020 totem packed by Warnick. This is the main I've never had before in any U.S. ration. And it actually tastes better than the standard stuff that tastes like you got it out of a Chef Boyardee can. NLC is here. Thanks for dropping in. And the Cheez-Its, most of them took a serious hit. So I decided that they're going to go down first. I poured the meatballs and the marinara sauce on top of that, so I get a little texture. In the absence of pasta, this is one way to eat it. And then, of course, I had to add some parm for my kitchen. These Cheez-Its taste a little bit old, but they haven't gone to crap yet, so they're still fine. The spicy Cheez-Its would be good in this. I think that would be a real hit. The coffee is Bill's Brew. I guess this is their go-to coffee when they don't have any of the Type 2 or Type 3. You hardly ever see the Type 1 anymore unless you open up an older MRE. And it comes with 2 sugars like the halal MREs, but I only used 1. So the other one will go into my stash. This spoon will go into my bag of plastic spoons that I save for a time where I have to seriously restrict my water use, which would mean not washing dishes. And so I will go to my disposable stuff. That way I can preserve either my stored water that I have or water that I can get but have to purify for drinking, cooking food, and keeping myself clean. But then I would go to my baby wipes, another large size wet wipes for that, since I store those. And even all these wet wipes get stored. Even this little napkin gets stored. That's okay. It's okay to be lazy. No, I am talking about prepping here. This is one of the ways that I add stuff to my emergency supplies. So I fill containers, food safe containers, with water after I've cleaned them out, or if they were new to begin with, I may rinse it out just in case there may be any dust on it from transit. And I have liberated a few larger size laundry detergent jugs from the laundry room before they get thrown into the dumpster. And there will be a little bit of detergent left in it. Then what I do is I just fill those with water, and they become my wash water for hand washing clothes. Oops, sorry about that. But, this may only be a 500 ml capacity bottle, but when you get a bunch of containers, either that size or a little bigger or a little smaller, and you spread them around, that is one way I can store water, because I don't have a large space where I can put large containers. And I also store disposable tableware like plates and bowls and cups. Again, for the same reason why I store these plastic utensils, because if I have to seriously conserve water, and way back in 1993, in June, we had what was called the 500-year flood here in Iowa. At that time, our water treatment plant had no barrier to protect it from infiltration. The water from the Des Moines River and the Raccoon River, that's where we get our water from, both of these rivers where they meet. That water came up so high, it flooded the treatment plant. It destroyed all the machinery, the filters, the pumps, the generators, all the sensors that monitor the water quality throughout all stages of the process. And we had no potable water for well over a month. And because our electricity was taken out, we had no electricity for nearly a month. And I went to stay with one of my sisters who at that time had a 6-month-old son. Yeah, her son, my older nephew, was 6 months old at the time. But where she was living, she had a well, but because it was contaminated, she had to superchlorinate the well. And so, because she was buying what is labeled as nursery water for her son, she was picking up extra bottled water for her to use for herself, and because I was staying with her for a couple of weeks, to watch her son while she went to her workplace to help assess the damage and to clean up the mess. So I was drinking that water as well, in addition to making sure that the baby had water to drink, to mix with the formula. And, and we bathed them with that water instead of using the well water. But after I had returned to the apartment that I was living in, I still could not use the water to drink or for a while to even wash in, but I could gravity flush the toilet when the water itself was not flowing. But Anheuser-Busch, the St. Louis brewery, canned up a crap ton of water and sent it up here. And I probably went through probably 3 to 4 cases of that. They just stopped beer production there and just canned water. And then there were other trucks that had these big water tanks like you would see landscaping companies use when they're going around to water the landscapes that they're responsible for. But these were operated by the National Guard. So if we had clean gallon jugs or other larger containers, we could go to one of these water distribution points and fill them or get them filled. And we could get two at a time. And so I did that probably once a week until the water was declared safe to drink. So that's what we did. Of course, I wish I would have started prepping after going through that experience, but there have been a couple of less damaging floods here in Iowa since then. Nothing nearly that bad, but after the 93 flood, the Des Moines Water Works built a flood wall with a gate around the water treatment plant. And then whenever there is a flood possibility, then that gate will drop, meaning nothing can go in or out of it. But the plant can still operate. And then levees around there have also been raised up. And areas where there were not levees before, levees were added to those places. Or where there have been weak points, then they have been reinforced. And maybe that is something that the app developers might have to incorporate. I think if you're doing Uber Eats or DoorDash or Grubhub, I think you can tip through the app, but I'm not sure. I have never used any of those. And personally, I just prefer not to do that because there was an issue with a DoorDash order at my favorite lunch spot where there was some confusion about whether or not the driver had actually gone to the restaurant to pick up the order. Or whether the restaurant had received the order in the first place to fill it. Now, thanks for dropping in, Mike. Hope to see you another time. So the DoorDash driver did come in, and I was in there eating at the time. So the DoorDash driver comes in, gets the food, and then the customer later comes in, says, "I'm here to pick up my food." Oh, the DoorDash driver came and got it. So the DoorDash driver is beating that customer back home. And of course, we have all heard about incidents where these drivers were nipping the customer's food. And from what I've heard from people who have experienced this, these companies are now telling the drivers that the order has to be put in a back seat on the opposite side of the vehicle, or they cannot easily access it and nip from it. Thanks for dropping in. Not only is that theft, it's just plain unsanitary. And thanks for dropping in. Now, I didn't get to your stream last night, Nation, but thanks for dropping one for Smokey last night, who was probably having life stuff to deal with himself. And today, while I was deciding which ration I was going to pull out of the box, I was also considering the one halal MRE that I have, which is the chicken with vegetables. I decided I'm going to save that for another day, another month actually, because I probably will not get to that one before Ramadan ends. But I decided to go ahead and pull the granola out of my other Chef 5-minute meals, the beef stew one. I opened it up, took the granola out because, again, I will be using that as a breakfast item when I eat my breakfast before first light, before it's time to pray the morning prayer, and then I begin my fast for the day. So those granola packets will come in handy for that. So I just decided to go ahead and pull that one out, even if I don't eat that beef stew before the end of Ramadan. I decided to go ahead and pull that granola out. But I still have the cheese tortellini MRE. I got the fettuccine Alfredo MRE, and then I have that pouch of chicken chunks, which I will add to that fettuccine. I've done that once before, and I think that's a good combination. And of course I have that Chef 5-minute meals beef stew. The ration bag that Elsie had sent to me only has the 2 main retorts and a dessert, not the accessory pack. But I found one on eBay and I ordered it. So that will be coming up sometime after Ramadan. So I got plenty of time for that to get over here and hopefully not get raided by customs, because it's an accessory pack. There should not be any meat items in it. But you can never tell with customs because one other reviewer got hit with a box raid and a non-meat item was taken out. I think it was one of the bars. Either there's a protein bar or some kind of a bar that had no meat in it. That was taken out. And I think a drink mix was taken out. And then another item was just cut open because the way they get into packages, they don't give a flip about the contents. They're like a cat that likes to shred toilet paper. Sometimes I've been lucky with packages from other countries. Nothing gets stolen. But that was when I bought directly off of a seller, not going through a reseller site like Amory Mountain. I ordered the same French RCIR 2 different times. Both times got raided. Except this time they left a pate in there. So I still have that. I'm surprised they let that one slip by. Or maybe the person working at that location didn't bother to translate the French. And could not see that it was a meat item. And of course, I've also tried 2 different times to buy rations, but for some reason, it was trying to go through the eBay site of a different country, and I couldn't run the payment through because it wouldn't accept US dollars. But when I looked at them, it looked like it would be like any other listing I would see on the eBay. It's just that I could not do the payment, so I had to contact the seller and say that there's something in there that's preventing me from making the payment, when it's not an issue of whether I have enough balance to cover it. It's just that it would not be accepted even if I had 1,000,000 times the balance to cover that item. So buying rations online is getting harder. So the site where I tried to order those RCIRs that got raided, I don't think I can trust them with any other foreign ration. You know, they sell American stuff, but at this rate, I'm not sure if I would trust them with that even. Although I bought uh, halal ration from a Lithuanian seller, and that got by customs without any issue. That one was purely a test to see if it would get rated because it was coming from another country, even though it was a U.S. ration. Yep, this thing went crooked again. Sorry about that. I'm down to my cookie and my drinks. So when the April comes around, I will be looking for rations to fill up my box. I will just have to wait till after Ramadan to get into them. Since I will be fasting during the day and I'll be spending so much time at the mosque that I'll have to make sure that it is an item that fits inside of the package lockers that we have here. And speaking of deliveries, I told Amazon I would miss a delivery Friday because I was at the mosque doing stuff there. And I need to reschedule. Then another package is supposed to be delivered by UPS. Well, I have left an instruction. They're getting almost as bad as FedEx with following instructions, especially for a building like mine where there is no working coat box, there is no door person, there is no office to leave packages at. You know, we have no on-site management. There is a face I have not seen in here. Charon? I'm assuming that is the correct pronunciation. I could be wrong. Or it could be Charon. But welcome. What I have left is my oatmeal cookie, which has cinnamon in it. Doesn't want to hold focus for some reason. It says marinara sauce with meatballs. And this is tailored operational training meal, like a training ration, a lower calorie ration than a standard USMRE, not necessarily a low sodium. Only the fact that you don't get quite as much food in these rations, just like the French exercise ration. You don't get as much in those as you would a standard French single meal ration. And they're created for activities that are less strenuous, but you still have to have a ration because of lack of access to a field kitchen or you're not on base. But you still have to feed people, so you bring out these lower calorie rations so you can still feed everybody, but you don't have the high calorie demand that you would have if you were doing more strenuous activity like a field exercise or multi-day training mission where you're having to do a lot of physical activity, and so you would need all the extra calories. But this one had the Cheez-Its, but they were pretty much busted up, so what I did was I put most of them down here where I put the main. I pulled the best ones aside and put them over here. And then I poured the meatballs and the marinara sauce on top of those busted crackers. And just because I can, I got some Parmesan cheese from my kitchen and sprinkled it on top. I figured I'll do that to show a way you can eat this meal, still eat all the food, but in less time by putting the main on top of the crackers. You can add a little texture and crunch to it, maybe a little extra flavor. And you get the feeling that you're getting something a little more substantial than just meatballs in a sauce. Although the sauce and the meatballs taste a whole lot better than the usual mock Chef Boyardee stuff that you usually get in the USMREs. So this one was pretty good. I had never had this main before, so it was awesome that I got to try it. And I'm glad I did. Someone who commented on my post on YouTube said that this is a favorite, and I can see why. Now, the Cheez-Its tasted like they had been around a couple of years. Well, this was packed in 2020, so. But they had not gone to crap, so as you can tell, they're gone. I'm just down to my cookie. The drink is lemon lime. I would take this over those red fruit punches any day. There's Jerry's Wood Shop and Outdoors. Thanks for dropping in. Haven't seen you in a minute. Still loving the knife. There is CR in the house from north of the border. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, I had a fellow YouTuber make a sheath for that knife. So, yeah, he did a good job of that, but he has since passed, so nothing more has come out of him. He died about a year and a half ago, so I'm glad I was able to get him to make me another sheath. I won one from him. Then I had to make a sheath for that knife that you made that I bought through Colorado Bushcraft. So that one will still go camping with me every time I go camping. It's got a spot for a ferro rod, so I got that on there. Yep, still loving it, still using it. What I had was meatballs and marinara. I don't know why it's not one to hold focus. There we go. I just had to tap it. This is packed by Warnick in 2020. First digit of the date code indicates the year. I don't think these rations were around in 2010. I think they came out in maybe 2015. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but if it was 2010, I would not have been able to eat those Cheez-Its. And it wouldn't have had Bill's Brew coffee. But the Cheez-Its are pretty much busted up, so I put them down there. I put the meatballs and marinara sauce on top of that. And I had some Parmesan cheese from my kitchen, and I sprinkled that on top just because I can. But this particular main tastes a whole lot better than the other pastas with meatballs that you get in MREs. Well, and Cliff is an Alaskan, but who's the other Alaskan? I didn't know we had another Alaskan in here. Uh, Sierra, I didn't think you were in that part of Canada. I thought you were farther east. I thought you were in Ontario. Unless someone moved you last night. Average Joe Amory is in BC. So I know that's where he's at. Yeah. And of course, got CT up in Canada. LC, who is up there. Smitty, who is up there in Canada. Bourbon Street Joe is up there. And B Temple is up in Canada. Now, what would be cool is if all of you up there could get together for a Canadian Ration meetup somehow. CR probably has fans from all over the planet. I'm tapping. If it goes out of focus, I grab something and I put it down and it goes out of focus. I'm tapping my phone screen to get the focus back. And this thing you see right there is actually part of my phone mount. It's a little handle that I squeeze to open the jaw that holds the phone. And it sticks out into where the camera can see. My Samsung Galaxy S5, it would be up there about where the top corner of the tray is. So it was sometimes it could be in a way, sometimes it would not. But I've tried messing with other positions, but because of the way I have things set up here, this is the way I have to put my phone mount. So that thing gets shown, and until I get a completely different setup, this is how it's going to be for me doing my streams. Let's see. But there's a guy, channel's name is Apple Stuff Bushcraft Stump and Things. No, it's Apple Stump Bushcraft Stuff and Things. I don't remember where he was located. I haven't seen anything from him for quite a while. But this tray is like the one that he's used. And I really liked it, so when I wanted to get an additional tray to go along with my Tupperware tray that I have, plus I wanted a green one, I saw this on eBay, so I got it, and it came with two little cups, one with a little tiny handle, and then one of the same capacity and shape that does not have a handle. And one of them would fit, there's this little circle here, and that's where one of those would sit. But because there's such a small capacity, I would only use that for maybe a small snack if I run out of compartments in a tray, I might use that. Or if I was going to do a little something different, I might bring that out. But I use this tray when I have rations that have more components. My Tupperware tray that I've had since 1983 has just two squares that these, see, this mug and my drinking jar are too wide to fit in here. But my Tupperware tray has just a spot for utensils, one large square area, and then two square side compartments that are big enough to put my mug and my drinking jar in. If I'm doing something that has a large main, say like a Norwegian Arctic field ration or something that had a mountain house entree, or when I've done some of the Minotaur freeze-dried entrees that make a huge amount of food, then I would use that. But I don't get things like that very often. But I got that tray back in 1983 when my high school class was having a fundraiser to put money aside for our senior trip, which we would take the following year. You know, because my school was so small, it would take several years for a class to raise money for something like that. So my school had a small snack bar, and so we operated that during school event nights, and then all of the profit from that would go towards the senior trip. And then we had additional fundraisers like the Tupperware party. And so I bought a couple items for my mom because she was a serious Tupperware fan back then. And still has some of those pieces to this day that she's had since I was a kid. So I bought her a couple pieces, and then I saw one of these trays, so I decided to buy it for myself. I had used it a couple of times at events where I needed to bring my own tableware, but I didn't use it more heavily until I actually got into the ration scene after I won an MRE from Sticky Finger 745. And I decided I would do what the other ration reviewers do and open it up, eat it on camera. I said, I got a tray. I'll just use that. So that's what I was doing exclusively, was that Tupperware tray until I got this probably. See, I've been here since October 31st. Well, I moved in on October 31st of 2016. And then in early 2017, I got into watching a whole bunch of different content on YouTube, including ration reviews. And I watched a video from Sticky Fingers, and he was having a giveaway, and I won it. Yeah, that's right. Jerry has made some full tang knives, or the hand, the metal of the blade goes into the handle through the whole length of it. I have another one here that I could kind of show you what it means. This is a different one, but see the metal of the blade, it's hard to see because it's green, but it comes out this end, so all the way through. That's referred to as a full tang blade. But Jerry made a few that he sold through a site called Colorado Bushcraft. There's James Ortiz in the house. Thanks for dropping in. And so I bought the last one that was there at that time on the site. And then I had the late Will Russell of Just in Time Prepping, or Just in Time Preparedness, or JIT Preparedness. Yeah, while he was still alive, I sent the knife to him along with a payment, and then he made a leather sheath for me. And I told him what diameter ferro rod I would be attaching to it, and so he made a sleeve for that ferro rod. And then I want another sheath from him that holds a small folding saw. And he contributed all of these items. So it didn't come empty, but so it came with an Ozark Trail folding saw, which I have used a few times. And he had put a compass on it. He had put one of those UST ferro rods that you pull the two sections apart. One half has the ferro rod, the other half has a striker, but when you put them back together, it closes them up so it protects both of those. And it's bright orange. So he had put that on there, and he put a piece of leather at the base so that if I needed to tie it around my leg, like one would a drop leg holster for a plinker, to keep it secure so it's not flopping around all over the place as you're moving. But I won that from Will, and I have his a shirt with the channel logo, and then I have a mug that I won from him that changes when you put hot water in it, reveals a channel logo. But yeah, Will did different leather projects for people. He would do different types of holsters and sheaths and pouches and things like that for people. But when I go camping, other than family trips, they both actually go with me on those trips. I'll take both of them. Yes, yeah, I think you need to start. Oops, sorry, I had a brief disconnect. I apologize for that. But I have made stickers in the past. I got some blanks ready to go. I just haven't made any more. But maybe on a day that's not so crazy, I might go ahead and do a few. But I'm going to be busy for the next couple of weeks. I'll probably be making I know I'll be making a few extra trips to the mosque because we got supplies that are supposed to be coming in. I went to get that inventory done. You know, I, I started a list of stuff that has come in. And then this week, some more stuff is supposed to be brought in. Now, people are donating all of this and either bringing it or having someone deliver, especially if it's a huge load, because we are trying to get all of the food in, like quite a few bags of rice, some number 10 cans of various things. You know, spices. You know, water packs and, you know, more plates and cups and stuff like that. So I've been keeping track of all of that. So I'm staying home tomorrow because I have to wait for some deliveries that I I missed on Friday because nope, I called Amazon. I'm not going to be home to receive those, and no one will be there because we don't have anyone who stands at all four doors at the exact same time. Like a certain other delivery company thinks that customers who live in buildings like mine, they expect you to sit at all entries of the building all day to wait for a delivery. Now, speaking of Smitty, well, look who it is. I was mentioning your name earlier. Were your ears itching? Well, I did not get the delivery I was supposed to get yesterday because the UPS driver didn't follow the instruction to call or text me upon arrival. And because the online tracking was delayed, when it showed me that he was on the property, I went downstairs, but the driver was already long gone. And because we have no functioning code box, we haven't had that since I'd been here. And so far the management is not doing squat about it. Either they don't want to, or they're just lazy. Or they just want to fool people, I don't know. But anyway. So, at least UPS sent it over to an access point that is not halfway into the next county. They did that one other time, and then they ended up losing the package. I told them, I can't go there. There's not a bus that goes over there. I don't drive. then they lost a package or was stolen. So I had to contact Amazon to get that one replaced. And about 3 months ago, I had a package stolen from here because some idiot driver didn't follow instructions and just left it. And it doesn't take long for a thief to come by here because they're always scouring. It's always on the hunt for easy grabs. And nobody does. Unfortunately, we do not have cameras yet. They were supposed to be put in during the reno 2 years ago, but that never happened. Yeah. So I had a Walmart delivery. This is when my health insurance, you know, flexible spending benefit where I could order certain over-the-counter medicines and other qualifying products that had to be ordered through Walmart. Well, the Walmart driver just made the drop, and it was in just a regular Walmart bag with a sticker on it. It was stolen, plus, then another time, it was raining. The bag was just left on the steps, and it was not underneath the overhang, and it got wet. Fortunately, the bag pretty much protected the item inside, but the outer box still did get a little wet. But because it was a plastic seal bottle inside, the contents weren't damaged. But I was not happy about the way that was handled. So last year that got changed where you could actually use the benefit in a store, like Walgreens, Walmart, CVS. So I like that better because I don't have to worry about something getting stolen or deliveries messed up where FedEx would say that they can't deliver an item to my address because there's a restriction. And they wouldn't say what the restriction was, but they acted like it was a controlled substance or an illegal substance, an illegal item, when it actually wasn't. And they would say that the company, that Walmart puts the restriction on it, but I don't believe that. But yeah, I like how that is now for that. So I don't have as much to worry about as far as item loss. But until we can get something better for deliveries around here, people are still going to be missing deliveries, even if they're home, because the drivers are not contacting the intended recipient. Now, Amazon drivers, most oftentimes they will. Sometimes they might not, but usually they do. But at least they will reschedule the delivery. So the one that I missed, I knew I'd miss on Friday because I wouldn't be home from the mosque till, I didn't get home till a little after 9 o'clock Friday night. You know, I stayed for the night prayer, and then I went and I went to the bus stop and I waited a few minutes for a bus. Then I get to the downtown, the dark bus station, then I change to a different bus to come home. So it takes me, depending on how long I have to wait, between 45 minutes and an hour to get home by bus. Because I have to change buses, and sometimes I have to wait for on the second bus. So in the morning, yeah, I was there in the morning Friday because I was cooking or I was doing part of the cooking of the lunch that we serve after the Friday prayer. And so I had a little time while waiting for something else to get done that the other cook was doing. So plus I needed to make another phone call to someone else. So I contacted Amazon. I'm going to be missing this delivery because I'm not going to be home. And because of the way the building is, there would be no one there to receive it unless someone lets the driver in. And that's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So those are supposed to come tomorrow. Then I go to the UPS access point to get the other item that was supposed to be delivered yesterday, but because a UPS driver didn't follow the instruction, and I let UPS know how I feel about them not following instructions. Politely, of course. Well, thanks for dropping in, Smitty. What I had was a 2020 totem. This is the main for it. And I had a little fun with it. I put the main on top of the busted Cheez-Its. And I'm trying this meatballs and marinara. Yeah, I would eat that any day. It did not taste like Chef Boyardee in a retort. It wasn't excessively sweet. You could taste the different seasonings that were in there, although I'm not good at picking individual ones out. But I could definitely tell that there was some herb flavor in there. And it looked like a proper marinara. And the meatballs are so much better than the Chef Boyardee meatballs. So next week, let's see, I got 4 rations in the box. One is an incomplete because it needs the accessory pack, which I found on eBay, so I ordered it. That's coming from the other side of the planet, so I have to wait for that to get here. So I'm hoping that by ordering it now, there will be plenty of time for it to get over here, since my last stream before Ramadan will be the 19th. So that one will wait. That's the one that LC sent me that has 2 mains and a dessert in retort pouches. I found an accessory kit on eBay. In fact, the seller had two listings. They look identical with the same picture. So I decided I'm going to take a chance on that and see if I can get it in one piece without being filched by some greedy customs agents. So if that comes in at least usable condition, then I will put that together. I have a cheese tortellini emery. I got a spinach fettuccine emery. That's a menu that is no longer in the lineup, but I have one. And I have a pouch of chicken chunks to go with it. I like putting the chicken in with that. And of course I have the other Chef 5-minute meals. I opened today to take the granola out because I'm going to be using that as a breakfast item during Ramadan. Yeah, I eat my breakfast during those days before first light. And then I do not eat or drink anything again until just after sunset. So I don't take my midday pills, which I normally do. But if it means I have to deal with a little bit more pain, then yeah, so be it. I've done it enough times, I've gotten used to it. So those pills that I skip on those days, I save them. That way, in case there comes a time where I can't get them for whatever reason, I have some that I can use until either I can get some more of them or I figure something else out. Yeah, if I was on a more time sensitive medicine, say like an antibiotic or certain heart medicines, or say like a high blood pressure medicine, or there are certain antibiotics that you have to take on a stricter time schedule, or insulin. If I was diabetic, then I couldn't fast. So I would have to come up with something else instead. So, for instance, a person who can't fast would either directly feed poor people or give money to an organization that does that, or prepares food for a person who is fasting. Something along that line. I'm past the age where I would have another excuse for not fasting, and that applies to women only. And of course, if I get sick, then I wouldn't fast. I would just fast another day later on in the year to make that up. And I've done that before. Of course, back in 2020, when no one was going to the mosque, I was doing my Sunday streams, but I was doing it a lot later than my usual start time. The There are several. One is to kind of gives you a greater sense of empathy for those who have less than you. It's a way to remind you that, you know, you can't just live on food, that there are other things that you have to sometimes put a greater priority on. Not in the sense that you just you just stop eating altogether, but you know, don't go to excess. You know, it, it's a discipline thing because it does take discipline to do it. Those that do a, a medical type fast, or what some call intermittent fasting, that does not have a religious significance, but more of just a health or medical type significance. Yeah, if you want to do that on a consistent basis, that takes discipline. And Gil made a video not too long ago about that on his Camp Patton Family Compound channel, where he mentioned something called intermittent fasting, where You're not fasting for a whole day like like I do when I'm fasting, but you eat at specific times, and then outside of those times you may eat nothing at all. But he drinks. He'll drink water, he might drink milk, he might drink a smoothie. But he mentioned in that video that he chose two specific times or time frames that he will eat the two meals that he eats. And then outside of that, he doesn't eat anything. Usually he, you know, if a situation calls for it, then he might, for instance, like today in a video, he showed a box of 92% cacao Ghirardelli chocolate bars that his wife gets, and she turned him on to that. And what he does with that, because there's such a high cacao content and very little sugar, if any, if he gets a craving, he will eat a square of that, and that's enough to satisfy that craving for quite some time. And he may not eat another piece of that for probably several days or a week or more. It's like he uses it in more of, say, like I use honey at night. I take a tablespoon or two of honey at night before I go to bed. I've been doing that for several years. My mom does it, and when we go on our family camping trips, I always have a bottle of honey with me. That way, if she forgets it, I share mine with her because I take a bigger bottle than what I would normally use in 1 week because I only use it at night. So, yeah, he uses that chocolate in that fashion. At my last track meeting last month, it happened to be on Ash Wednesday. And so one of the attendees chose not to eat lunch while the rest of us were eating our lunch because she said she was fasting that day, that she would only drink. I think she drank a bottle of water during the meeting, and then that was it. She probably took a lunch home to eat for dinner. But, she's a Christian and did that. But I hope that, I'm obviously no expert on it. I just do it. I hope that helped understanding what some reasons are for fasting. That there are different ways of doing it. There may be ways that Jews do it that I don't know because I've never really bothered to ask any. I just know what Muslims do. I know what some Christians do. And there are some Christians who have chosen to fast like we Muslims do. And in fact, this guy wanted a couple of extra tips to make it easier for him. So, it was during a summer, and so I said, on really hot days, if you're going to fast, eat watermelon with your breakfast before you start your fast, because some watermelon will help keep you hydrated. Especially if you're not drinking anything during the time that you're fasting. And then during the summer, when I break my fast, I have also, instead of just regular water, I would drink coconut water. That's kind of like a natural version of an electrolyte drink. Because coconut water has some nutrients in it that you don't get with just plain water. So that guy was grateful for that little tidbit. Another thing I have, it's not a complete ration, but I have some components that I can put together to make a meal. I'm thinking after Ramadan. Thanks for dropping in, CR. I'm thinking after Ramadan, I have that IMP lamb stew. I have that bagel, which is a new item in U.S. rations. I have an oatmeal cookie from a Humanitarian Daily Ration, one of the newer versions of that ration. So I'm thinking about taking those items, maybe a few other things, and making a meal out of those. So I might do that if Ramadan ends, say like on the 22nd of April. In fact, I will bring up a calendar on another phone. See, there is April 22nd, so the 23rd would be my next live stream after the 19th of this month. So what I might do something that I did a few years ago but have not done since. I would turn that into like a ration mashup. Or I put together items from different rations to make meals out of. So I may do that with that lamb stew and that bagel. But I got a little while to think about that one. Well, since I'm pretty much done with the food, I'm probably going to go ahead and call this one good for tonight. For those that came in late, this is a 2020 pack. Done by Warnick. Now these totems don't have menu numbers, just like the Hala MREs don't. But I definitely recommend this one. Drop that card. This table is not a solid table. It's a folding camp table that I use. But anyway, I highly recommend this main. And it's especially good if you put it over something that adds an additional texture as well as a little flavor to it. Yeah, I would definitely get it again. So anyway, I do want to thank you all for watching and hanging out with me. So next week, I have 3 options. I'll pull one of those out. And then the week after, I'll pull out another one of those. So anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.